I'm here to talk about dry hopping. I wanted to come up with funny sounding name lessons in Lupulin. That just sounds good. My name's Pete Graham. Been homebrewing since 2020. My first 3 years, pretty much only did hazy IPAs. So I focused a lot on oxygen reduction, and that's why I've got a lot of parts that I tried to figure out what works best for me. So we're here to talk about dry hopping. The agenda, purpose, why do we dry hop, what does it achieve, the equipment option, so what can you use at the minimum, and then on the upper end, what's helpful, what's going to make possibly the best dry hop beer available. What are some different methods that's used? So I've got a couple of examples from fellow FBI members, just to kind of give you an idea of what people are doing, what kind of process, temperature, time, turbulence. So do you stir up the hops? How do you get the most out of the hops that you're using? And at the end, just a little bit of tips and tricks, things to avoid, things to do to make it improved. All right, what's the purpose? So you're adding hops directly to the fermenter or already fermented beer, so dry hopping late post-fermentation or biotransformation. Unlike boiled kettle additions, dry hopping preserves more of the volatile aromas, the volatile flavors that will boil off. So what does it give you? Pungent hop aroma and fresh hop flavor, often fruity, floral, tropical flavors and aromas. It will add a complexity and not add much bitterness. It can add some bitterness, but not a lot. Depending on if you're making a hazy or not, it can add some hazy appearance due to the polyphenol that binds to the hop organic materials, proteins, and biotransforming hops during active fermentation. So when you biotransform the materials, it can become something else, and depending on how well it goes, something better sometimes that you wouldn't get otherwise. So what are the materials you're getting? Terpenes and terpenoids. Some of those materials are linalool, geraniol, myrcene. They provide a floral, citrus, and herbal notes. They are highly volatile, so if you are trying to get those and you add the hops to a boil, it's going to boil off almost completely, but not completely. But depends on how long you boil those hops. Myrcene makes up a lot of the hop oil content. So as I said, it's 30 to 60%, and some even higher than that. Like Citra has quite a lot. Simcoe has a lot of myrcene as well. For better or worse, because it can make it astringent, and the oil will remain in dry hop beer more than a boiled wort.
Do you want questions throughout, or do you want?
Just let me know. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. So that top bullet point, does that mean that if you want those compounds, that you're pretty much limited to Whirlpool at 170 or like dry hopping? And then there's really no other way to get those.
Some will make it through, but it's going to get degraded really quickly if you have it above 190. It says 170, so there's a level. But after 60 minutes of boil, it reduces. I think it's that reduces from down to 90%. So 90%, more than 90% is gone after 60 minutes. So you will get some, but in comparison, if it's at a lower temperature, so if it's 190 or lower, if it's at 190, I think it was around 23% that will be blown off. So you keep 77%. So a lot more. Also, science, so thiols. What are thiols? Sulfur compounds, which I think a lot of people here have heard a lot about thiols and everything. So you guys already have a lot of information about that, but I have a slide next that just shows a couple of thiols. So there's 4 different groups, but for beer, polyfunctional thiols are the desirable ones. And as it notes, 3-MH, 3-MHA, responsible for tropical passion fruit character and many modern varieties. Bound thiols are released by yeast during fermentation. So there's yeast that you can use to really pull thiols out, which pulls thiols from malt, but also bound thiols can be pulled from regular standard yeast, depending on yeast kind, but it can pull the thiols out from the hops with the right yeast. And what is biotransformation? Yeast enzymes convert hop precursors into aroma-active compounds. It is especially potent when dry hopping during active fermentation. Now, you can get biotransformed hops without adding it during fermentation. You can use a lot during whirlpool. So put in a lot of hops in the whirlpool. You don't have to try and do a mid-fermentation hop addition. It will pull some of those hops, hop material, and biotransform them just during active fermentation.
What are you whirlpooling? Temperature, yeah.
Me, I'll do multiple. So some people do it flame out, some step whirlpool. Yep, I've done 190, add some at 190, add some at 170. Some people have dropped down to 140 and added hops. I haven't done that before, but sure, yeah. There's a lot of experimentation that can be done. I haven't done it all, so you can certainly try whatever. Yes.
So you said biotransformation works best with fresh yeast. What do you mean by fresh yeast? Like not dry yeast, or
I think active fresh.
So like a fresh starter.
Yeah, fresh starter.
Okay.
Something that's just come off of yeast. Do a starter, or something that's just fermented and finished. Pulling that off, it's fresh yeast.
Okay.
That will help. I should mention, so a lot of information I got came from Scott Janis's new IPA book. He has a lot, like 300 citations from this book. So he's pulled from a lot of studies over 100 years, really. The studies are vast and done by many breweries and many scientists.
And if that's from the Brewers Association, go buy it, because they're not going to be printing hardbound books anymore. I remember seeing that on Facebook. So if you want that book, go buy it before they're gone.
Yeah, it's a really helpful book. I had a copy, got it went ahead and bought another copy because it's certainly worth it. I reference it often. Did you get wet during dry hopping? It was stupidly taken to sit at the pool and be enthralled with hop information in a book, which is a bad idea because it just gets boring quick. It's hard to read, but if you might read through it and then come back to what you've read. Very useful in that way. So essential hop oils. As I don't know if you can see that very well. Yeah, it's not bad. Hydrocarbons make up 40 to 80% of the hop material. The oils from hops. They're, as it says, extremely volatile, so they blow off very quickly. They get boiled, they're going to start losing their efficiency. And you can see monoterpenes are a big part of that. Myrcene, like I mentioned, very high level in many of the hops. The fruitier hops have a lot of myrcene, typically Citra, Simcoe, as I mentioned before. And very volatile, blows off quick. Some oxygen-containing compounds, monoterpene alcohols. So those are important ones. Linalool, geraniol, and citronella, or beta-citronella, very important for getting that fruity character out of the hops. Sulfur-containing compounds are those thiols I was mentioning before. So you can see the examples are named. On the next slide, I think it also shows what those are. As it mentions, monoterpene alcohols and other hydrocarbon and hop fractions reach full extraction in 24 hours. So the essential materials you want to get out of hops typically can be pulled from them in very quick times. 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours. Any longer than that, and you're going to pull some of the negative material out of it, the woody, probably flavors you don't want to get. So don't let your hops sit too long in the liquid. And as I mentioned about the bitterness, a dry hop beer with greater than 30 IBU, once you dry hop it, it will be perceived as a reduction in bitterness before you dry hopped it. But if it's a lower IBU beer, less than 20, you dry hop it, it will have an increase in its perceived bitterness. If you've ever tried to do that, I think from my own experience, it's true.
Did you say you get a lower perceived bitterness in a high IQ beer?
Yes.
If you after dry hop?
Yes. So this is from Lupulin, which is why you see all Lupulin yeast on there. But it was a pretty good slide just showing different thiols that are out there that are important to this type of beers. 3SH, 3S4MP. So 3SH is the grapefruit sort of thiol, grapefruit. White wine, white grapes, 3S4MP. You can see that you selected trying to get the bound thiols out, that's volatile blanc, so you'll probably have to have some of a yeast that's really proper for it, as they list to the right of that. So some hops that go well with that after the yeast has been pulled the thiols out. Nelson Sauvin, Huguenot, volatile blanc rosé. 4MSP is also 4MMP. Can be a very good thiol to add, but if you get too much, you'll get possibly some cattiness, and I would just have to be really careful with it, not to have too much. Simcoe has a lot of that, so that's probably might get some cattiness out of Simcoe, especially if it's post-fermentation. If it's during fermentation, one, it can convert some of those into a different expression, which will be positive. But it does. If you do it right, you'll get like a fruit punch, really great aroma and taste. So you have to be careful with that thiol. 3SHA, that's the passion fruit style of thiol. So, what equipment needs do you have to have? Obviously, you have to have a fermenter. But as Janice will note in the book, you really should stay away from buckets, anywhere that's easy to get in oxygen that gets induced. Oxygen is certainly the enemy of dry hop beers. So you can use it, but do it with caution. Obviously, you have to sanitize everything that goes in post-boil. You have the option of a hot bag, mesh bag filter. You don't want to clog your poppets or clog the pickup tube. So using a hot bag and mesh bag it will help in that instance. A stable temperature, because you don't want to add hop burn. You don't want to get diacetyl possibly. Once you add the hops, it's got enough sugar that it could kick up and cause some diacetyl. So you want to keep that temperature stable. So what are some nice to have gear? A keg, a unitank. So if you want to ferment in a keg, that works really well. You're not going to get oxygen into it. And unitank, even better. You can drop the yeast out of it. Typically, you can do that. A way that you can purge the whole system with CO2 before and after adding hops. Filtration tool. So this is one filter you put into a keg, put it into your fermenter. You can throw in, obviously, you got to make sure and sanitize it beforehand, add the hops. And it gives you a lot of space for the liquid to get into it, into the hops. This is another filter. This is a 300 micron filter. And instead of holding the hops like this, you would put the hops outside of this and pull the liquid through the dip tube. That's what I use this for. So inside of this keg, 6 gallons. So I want to try and get 5 gallons out. So I use this keg that's a 6 gallon keg and try to push, if I can, 6 gallons in, 5.5. And then through the dip tube, this will be able to pull only the liquid through. Now you have to do it softly. So the very first time I tried to use this, it got clogged. This got clogged, and I got about 3 gallons out when I had 5.5 go in. So I had about half a keg full of liquid, and opening it was like, oh yeah, damn, it smells so good.
Do you stopper that at the top? Do you stopper?
Yes. So
Drill stopper.
yeah, a pre-drilled hole that goes through the stopper that I put in the top. It's not perfectly seated on it, but it's good enough that if there's any hot material that gets in, it's very little. For the most part, it's pulling at the bottom, so it's pulling all the liquid through and keeping the hot material out.
So that goes around the dip tube?
Yes.
And then, do you still need to have hops in a mesh bag? Okay.
Totally loose.
Just nice and slow.
Yes, nice and slow. Push it. Takes me 45 minutes to push it to another keg, probably.
How do you push it slow? Do you just keep it at a very low PSI? Do you like turn the gas on, turn it off?
So on the keg, I've got a regulator that is allowing the CO2 to come out of the keg, the serving keg. And so I just set that until it's at the right flow. I will set it on top of a scale and then just watch the filling keg, the serving keg, go at the right speed. What seems like the right speed.
Do you know about what that would be? Like how long like 1 gallon would take? Or you said the whole keg should take what?
At least 35. Sorry, at least 30, but more like 45.
You ever done siphon transfer with it? You can keg up here with the receiving one down there.
I have, and that helped. Yeah, it helped.
Because then it's not, you just walk away and come back in an hour. Shit theoretically down here.
I'm a little afraid to walk away from anything.
So when I've done that with that setup, it loses brine.
Loses brine.
Yeah, and that could just be me. Like, there's probably a better way of doing it, but that's been my experience. I need something like pushing.
So my serving keg, I'm almost always filling with sanitizer, pushing that out with CO2, and then still pushing it out even a little bit more with CO2. So I'm trying to get nothing. I don't have a oxygen test systems. I don't have anything to test that, so I don't know how well it's doing.
So you don't use fermentation gases to purge your receiving food?
I have tried that before, and I swear it seemed like it left some aroma from what I was fermenting. Totally different beers. If it was the same style of beer,
No, use I'll use what I'm fermenting to purge the keg. I'm going to transfer it to 10
yes,
days later.
yes. I just haven't done that.
Yeah.
Some other notes like I mentioned. Okay, so when I fill this, obviously I can't go through the tube to fill this from the fermenter because I plan on pushing hops. Hops are going to be out here. Like I don't want to push anything into the dip tube that's going to then later pull from. So I've got on this lid. So I had to have cut a tri-clamp and a liquid port here. So I had to add a liquid port so that I can push it through this floating dip tube. Push the fermented beer into this keg. And then I don't want it to go into that serving dip tube or whatever. Whatever jar. I want that to go to the bottom. But yeah, hops typically, true, whatever it is. So make sure this is clean and push it through this liquid post. So here is where I would add the hops. And typically what I would do is have this on this connected here. So, like I said, when I started making beer and hazies, I wanted 0 oxygen. So this is kind of crazy, but I cobbled this together.
Why didn't you get the big one?
Yeah. So when I used one that was would hold about less than 4 ounces, it wasn't enough. So this will. I have filled this up before and had to add a little bit more. So that was a big mistake. But I will connect this here, fill it up.
And you're just connected when you're running out. You're connected earlier on.
This part and this, the valve, are going to always be connected once it's going. This part, add the hops in the top. There is a tube that I will connect to blow CO2 through the bottom of the hops and then purge it out. So I'm trying to get rid of all the oxygen possible. So I'll do that 6 times, maybe more, to fill this up at like 10 psi and pop it until it's close to 2 psi.
These are obviously pellets.
But at the same time, since I'm dropping them in this way, I will, as this mentions pH, I'll adjust pH at this point when I drop the hops in. Because I know that the post-fermentation is probably at 4.7, maybe 4.6. Well, adding dry hops, it's going to raise that up. So I'm going to lower that down to what's a more standard pH of 4.5. So I'll use phosphoric acid because if I use too much lactic acid, then it's going to taste a little bit lactic, right? So phosphoric post-boil always for what I'm doing. So I'll add the hops, add some phosphoric acid typically, ALDC as well. ALDC to stop any diacetyl from beginning. Making sure that it's stable, and so it's closed.
Putting these on top of your pellets and absorbing into the pellets.
Yes. Yep. So fill this up, purge it, slowly open it up so they don't get clogged here. Because when I started, I had a 1.5 inch tri-clamp trying to get hops through a valve that was 1.5 inches open, and it clogged immediately. the hops will not get through there unless you're lucky. I mean, yeah, you've got to have a large valve to make sure that it's going to get through into the beer. And as long as I do it slowly, it's not going to get clogged here. But it's the valve that clogs it typically. So once that's done, I can take this part off because it's closed back up.
So, could you just say like what are the tri-clamp diameters there? Like the bottom is 1.5 inches, right?
1.5 inch, 3-inch valve.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3
And
inch.
then everything else is 3
sight
inch.
glass.
Okay. Cool. Oh, another question.
Yes.
If you didn't add the phosphoric acid, what would the result there?
pH that would probably be 4.8, 4.9.
And would you be able to, like, how would that be perceived as you were tasting it?
So a lot of times, if you get pH that high, it's going to be, the hops are going to be kind of muddled. They're not going to pop. And, listening to a podcast, they talk about, 4.7 is FDA
Food safety.
food safety.
4.6.
4.6. Yeah, so just out of precaution, I want to be below, I want to be at 4.5 or 4.4, 4.4 or 4.5 for these beers.
Do you add a standard amount every single time, or it depends on every single beer?
Every single beer, it matters. So there are calculators out there that you can find that will guesstimate how much, what your increase in pH is going to be.
Based on the hops.
Based on the hop, how many hops, how much liquid you've got, and where you started at. And so trying to figure that out took a few different beers of testing, and I can usually get pretty close now, but every once in a while it's not exact. I just want to make sure that I'm below that 4.6. If it's not enough, I can still, in the serving keg, I can still, through the gas port, push a little bit more acid in there. And so doing that, I use some fittings that won't introduce very much oxygen at all.
So when you're testing your pH, are you degassing and everything?
Yes. Yep. Put in a little blender, filter it, blender it.
You also mentioned gravity. I heard that dry hopping right is the hop beer. So do you account for that? Do you try and make slightly higher gravity, like higher finishing gravity, because the dry hops will drop it down and dry?
I don't. And get to that in a little bit.
Okay. You're going to cover hop creep in a bit?
A little.
Okay.
Yes.
A little bit in a bit.
A little bit in a bit. Slow wait.
I won't talk about it a ton because I haven't gotten into it very much, but some things that you can do to stop.
So you mentioned some calculators online that they're.
Yeah, I'll have to find it and post it.
Okay.
You know, I took the equation into an Excel spreadsheet, and then I used my Excel spreadsheet. But the equation is, I'll try to put that out there, right? So, what hops? I've never used the whole leaf hops, so I can't attest to how well that works. I don't know. Cryo hops, T90 pellets. For the cryos are standard. The cryo hops are somewhat more recent, and I will try to use those quite often in dry hopping. At most though, I'll probably go 50% with cryo hops with T90 mixture of the two. I won't go 100% cryo hops. I haven't tried it, but there's been podcasts where they talk about there's maybe not the best results. Like you might get some off tasty. You want it to have at least some of these T90 flavors to seem like it's a standard beer, like a hoppy beer that you get commercially. Also, Spectrum and hop oils, flowable, those are becoming more and more frequently available commercially. People use quite a bit. I've used them, especially recently more. So if I have a beer that the aroma is just not quite there, I will definitely put some abstracts in it, and it will be like a different beer. The flavor might have been there already, and the flavor doesn't last a long time for the hop oils, the abstracts, but the aroma, it really helps with the aroma if it's lacking. If it's not lacking, I'm not going to do it. But it can be helpful for sure.
How do you get those in?
I use that same method of have a vial that I'm pushing in with, because it's recommended to do it before packaging. So a couple days before packaging, that would be a good time to do that. And a little vial into, Capeland has the connectors that are like tubes instead of the Titan fittings, quick connect fittings. And so I mocked up this little thing that I can get 10 milliliters, and with these hop oils, you only need 2 milliliters, and you'll be good. Very little bit goes a long way. If you use those in excess, it will definitely become medicinal. You won't like the flavor that comes out if you use too much. So what methods are there? I mean, I think everybody here has probably seen these. Traditional dry hop, post-fermentation is complete. It's very normal, typical, most commonly used. Biotransformation hops, add the hops at high Krausen peak activity. Like I said, you get some compounds that transform, get more unique character. Do it twice. Biotransform and a traditional transform. Do both. I tend to do more of the whirlpool and dry hop, so post-fermentation dry hop. I try to put a lot more in the whirlpool. That's what I kind of follow. One of my favorite breweries is Fighton's in New York. They make incredibly good hazy IPAs, and he attests to put it all in the whirlpool if you want those biotransforming flavors. So he loads it up there. Hop creep control. So this is what I do, strategic timing and cold crashing. So that's what I'll do. I'll lower the temperature before I dry hop. So where I typically dry hop is below 60. So it shouldn't, the yeast, let it slow down. Don't dry hop for a couple of days. Just because it finished yesterday, give it a couple more days. At that colder temperature, drop the yeast out. And you should not get hop creep. I don't think I've ever had hop creep.
Do you ever try to get it off the yeast, remove some of the yeast?
Yes, because I'm doing it with this. But even before, I have a conical, so I would try to get the yeast off. But definitely now, I don't have yeast much at all.
So why don't you have yeast?
There'll be a little bit of yeast that's somewhat in suspension, but
You're fermenting this.
no, I'm fermenting in a conical.
So you're dry hop.
Yes. So
If
not much chance.
you're wanting to not re-ferment, and you want to bottle in condition instead of bottling off the keg, you need that re-fermentation. So, I mean, is that 70% for hop creep?
Yes. It does with our cask ale program here. I've had a couple of pins and firkins blow up to great effect. Just because, and I'm looking at the varieties you've got listed up there, I'm like, yep, and yep. Because it's exactly what he's saying.
So what happens is correct me, I'm asking, is it there is more starch to convert in the worms, a little bit more. There's an enzyme in the hops that converts it, and then if there's yeast there, it ferments it.
Also, the hops themselves have some amount of sugar in them. Sugar to convert.
Okay. And so what you get is you get more attenuation, which you may or may not want.
Right.
But you can also get the byproducts of fermentation like the acid, which I'll tell you that I judge IPAs in the state fair, and I'm not getting 25% some evidence of concrete, either like diacetyl, that I'm sure probably wasn't there before, or like it was fermenting in the glass. So another thing that you mentioned earlier, Nick, about that is the ALDC, whatever that is,
Yes.
that prevents the, what does that?
So with LDC, especially professional breweries now who make hoppy beers, almost just by standard, I'm going to add LDC into the fermenter right when you start throwing the yeast. You throw it in with the yeast. When I dry hop, I'm throwing it in with the dry hop.
And this is like something you buy at a homebrew shop or
Yes.
online?
Yeah.
And they must.
You can
they
get
must
it.
have-
I get it from more beer.
And they sell it at homebrew scale concentrations, because our bottle is literally in 250 gallons and 7 barrels. We put 8 to 9 grams of ALDC in it, that's it. So it's a tiny little amount.
Yeah, they'll tell you that it's got a little dropper. Just fill that dropper up and put that much into 5 gallons. And dry hop. So because I'm going through this hop cannon, I will put it on top of the hop so I make sure that it gets into the beer.
So are you saying to use the ALC for the bottle? Because I'm gonna wind up having a bottle on that. Do I, is that gonna help? Do I just not put the sugars, whatever's left over, the wort and the hops do the fermentation? That's pretty random. So how do I get a carbonated beer without the hop if I have the bottle?
I can't answer too much on that because I don't bottle condition on hoppy beers. So I haven't had to worry about that.
Hey, you can know where this is? We're at St. Ives.
All right, so go through the process, confirm that fermentation is complete, taking gravity readings, and let it finish, because even after the gravity is stable, the yeast will release some of those styles, some of those flavors once it's sat around for a little bit. If it's still a little bit active, it needs like 72 hours, and then it releases some of those styles that are great flavors. So let it sit for a couple of days extra, and you'll get more of that style flavor. Carrier hops, weigh them out, sanitized bag or directly into a vessel, depending on how you do it. Add the hops to the vessel. Contact time, 3 to 7 days typical. Don't go over that. You'll get the grassy notes as it states. So this says cold crash, drop to 34 to 38. That's kind of recommendation from maybe Janish. He drops it a lot, down to like maybe 39. I will only drop it to maybe 50. But if I'm doing like a dry hop pilsner of some West Coast pills maybe, that has a much greater possibility for diacetyl because it's supposed to lager at cold temps. So you really probably need to drop it down to this 34 to 38 for a couple of days to stop the yeast once you dry hop it. All right, so I wanted to show a couple of examples. Jeff Smith, part of our club, he brought in a hazy IPA that was the recipe that Treehouse had put out there on one of their videos. So he replicated that, and it was fantastic. For those of you who remember it was incredible. So I asked him, I wanted to see how he did it, because I've tried to make that recipe before, and I did not hit it. He hit real close. So, as he shows here, the dry hop, post-fermentation, as mentioned, no filtering, conical, so that's his conical. So allow it to finish, let it sit for a little bit. He drops the cone, drops the yeast and trub out of the cone, lets it finish for another week. So really be patient with it, let it finish. cools it down to 60. So that port on top has a valve. He'll take that top portion off, drop the hops in, close it up, and then flush the headspace. Put CO2 in there, burp it a few times so that any of the oxygen that might have gotten in while he had that open for a little bit, purge that out as much as possible. After 3 to 4 days, drops the cone of the settled hops, gets the hops out of there, and then cold crash it down to 36. Shake the cone some more, transfer it to a serving keg. As he mentions, for a non-heavy dry hop beer, he'll put it in a bag. Just a bag, tie it up, put it into the keg. Suspended with a fishing line. JC, fellow FBI member, won a couple of awards with his hoppy beers. Ferments, basement temps, no filtering, 2 different methods. He mentions put the hops in with some ALDC, as we've been talking about, to minimize the chance of any diacetyl pickup. Purge the keg, push the beer on top of the hops. Second method, put LDC in the keg, purge the keg, open it, drop the hops in. Yeah. My process, talk about it a little bit. Biotransformation, I rarely do, like I said. But when I do, I will, if you see it on the conical, we'll use the same instrument to drop the hops in through that port without opening it up at all. Purging it with CO2, put the hops in, purge it with CO2, drop it in, put pressure on the sight glass, push the hops in. Normally though, I will do post-fermentation 50, 55, 57, somewhere around there. Like I said, allow the beer to finish three days about. As I mentioned already, transfer the liquid in, drop the hops in, swirl it a little bit, make sure that there's good contact, put pressure on it. I will sponge on the conical. I'll sponge, so it's already got carbonation in it. But the finishing amount of carbonation, put that in here, and 50 to 55, 57, somewhere around there. Yeah, after 2 days, I'm gonna move it off, put it in a serving cake. I don't put it any longer than that. 72 would be an absolute maximum. I try to keep it at 48 hours though. I thought I'd mention Kelsey McNair, probably the most prolific home brewer there has been in the last, 20, 30 years. This is his Lupulin fermenter. So his recipe, hop foo, which he owns North Park, mentions. So with that same recipe, even though it evolved over the years slowly, he used pretty much the same recipe, won 3 NHC golds for his American IPA, 1 silver, dozens of awards. So what he does is ferments at 67, spun it starting on day 8, reduce the temp, diacetyl rest at 60, which is kind of interesting, because normally I would keep my temperature up to diacetyl rest, but that's what he said he does. Dump the true, so he's not putting the hops on after day 7. He's waiting 2 weeks, then putting hops on. And as he mentions, cooling it down 10 degrees every 12 hours until it's 37 degrees. So for a couple days, he's keeping it on, the hops on. Okay, so samples. I'll talk about it. B. I've got 6 of each, so should be good. This is a pale ale.
Hey, Lydia,
Although,
would you mind pouring for me, just so I don't like
Yeah.
mess up the camera?
blue.
Let me at least line them.
What do most people say when they see your fermenter?
Are there more?
Who sees it? My garage is pretty much
Do
closed.
they ask what it makes drugs? It looks like it makes drugs.
It does. So here's the blue.
A little bit more of these.
You enjoy that third place game?
B. Do you want more in the sample? Yeah.
B. Alright, so pale ale, I never really, I did a bittering hop and I didn't do any late hops in the boil, which normally I would. But just switched it up and did just boil it 60 minutes and whirlpool. So I get a little bit less bitterness than I would think for a pale ale.
Wait, which beer did you do that with?
Yeah, this is the same beer, fermented, boil, all that. Everything's the same except for dry hop method.
Okay.
There's not a big difference, but there's a little subtle difference. So it should be pretty similar, but maybe the method makes a difference. Does any other than maybe a little bit less bitterness than it should for pale ale.
Seems the range of a modern pale.
The hops are Citra and Belma. Belma. I received an 8-ounce bag of Belma, so I thought, why not use it? Let's see what this is like. So I paired it with Citra. It's definitely more Belma than Citra, but I'll show in a second here. Any notes which just it present differently, aroma, flavor.
I think there's bitterness to the difference.
This is
This has got like so many alcohols.
which one?
The R. Are we talking about R? Sorry.
B.
I think B's more bitter and more diesel. More diesel character.
Okay.
I said R was more bitter.
So
Yeah.
Are the FGs about the same?
it's the same. Like in that sense, like
I mean, everything's the same, but I was like, measurement.
so the difference. Yeah, they're both 10-12. And okay, one note about it is I did not add any phosphoric acid to bring down the pH. It finished at 4.69, so higher than I would, but I didn't want to alter because I'm trying to do it into 2 different vessels. I didn't want to alter it and make a difference there, so I left it alone. But one of them I did it in this, and the other I did in this 1 gallon. Same rate of hops, but obviously different amounts, but the same rate. And then I just put the hops into this bag, put it into this 1 gallon keg, and flushed it once the hops were in there with CO2 quite a bit, so that it's not open. It was not open when I added any beer to it. It's not open, so that's no difference there. But
You want to ask me which one people like better? Like show hands. something meter? Or does that not apply?
No.
He likes all his children equally.
I haven't. They're both made completely the same, fermented in the same fermenter. But then once I moved it to dry hop, so I dry hop in separate vessels. One of them's dry hopped in this, and the other was. So this, what I'm showing is, this is a really big, clunky, expensive bunch of stuff. But then, did it make a difference to just put it in the bag, put it in a little keg, flush it with CO2 so you're not introducing any oxygen? Does it make a difference? So, going an expensive route or going a little less, right? So that was the idea. Yeah. Like I said, same hopping rates, Belma, Citra, and any opinions? R, vote for R. What's your favorite? Which you like better?
R. I like the
R.
Yeah.
R.
Yeah, probably are.
B.
Just to be different.
I mean,
in different ways.
you know what a pirate's favorite letter is? He likes R. His first love is a C.
I like the bitterness in B, but there's also a little edge.
A little edgier.
R was a little more fruitier. It didn't have the counterbalance of bitterness that I would like to pick up. The other one is more raw.
Which one?
B is a little more raw and the hop is a little more bitter.
Yeah, he has like a little hint of like allium, like a little hint of garlic, whereas it's mostly like fruit, peach and melon, but the R is just all peach and melon.
Yeah, he's got more sulfur character,
Right.
for sure. Not
So R was in this with conglomeration of stuff, and then B was in the little thing with the nylon bag with the hops in it. So I haven't done side by side, so I haven't tested it really. I had one day, and then the other one. To me, at that moment, it was like I don't tell much of a difference. But I
Pretty
haven't had
close.
side by side. I'll do it in a minute. But like it shows, I 55 day one, dropped it a little bit, 52 the next day, and 0.7 ounces per gallon of Belma, so a little more Belma than the I use CryoCitra. Dry hop rate, quick reference. So this is per chat GPT. So you might look at this and say that's way off, but shows you English bitter pale ales, rates per ounce a gallon of dry hops. This is for dry hops only. And contact times that are more typical. So you can see that hazy IPA 4+ ounces per gallon. That's a lot. That's a Imperial IPA 3 ounces per gallon. Yeah, I've done close to that before. It was a lot, but
That's almost a pound of hops in a 5-gallon batch for dry hop.
yeah. So Nose Goblin from what's that place called? It's called Nose Goblin. Anyway, it's Ghost Town. Yes, thank you.
And what would be your liquid loss?
You know what? Okay, so when I open this thing up, I am astounded at how much liquid I got out of it and the level of it's sitting. It might be this much hop matter that's sitting at the bottom, but it was able to pull it out
And that's with your
filter it out.
slender, the slender thing?
Yeah.
And how many ounces of hops do you add?
So
What's your sort of range?
I think more normally it would be, I haven't made a hazy for a while, so if I made another hazy, it'd probably be 12 ounces. So, pretty good amount. Lately, I've been making more American IPAs, West Coast Pilsners, New Zealand Pilsners.
When you're doing like the 12 ounces, do you split it up and do like 6 and 6 to get more contact, or do you do it all at once?
I have been doing it all once, but in researching for this, it sounds like the better way to do it is split it up, because when you throw it all together, sometimes they'll clump up and not get as saturated, whereas if you break it up, get the first amount saturated, and certain hops will do better being in there longer. So one thing, as mentioned, the Fightins brewer says, Galaxy, Nectaron, very little contact time because quickly you will start to overpower with these negatives. Citra is going in day one, Simcoe's going in day one of dry hop, but like I said, he will pull all of them out after 72 hours at most. But even at day one, he will pull off the cone after day one and then drop the next batch of hops. So each day he's pulling from the bottom of his conical.
So question for you, with the conical, why not try hop in there? Are you worried about if you go down in the cone and
I have done that. That's how I did do it.
Yeah, but why not?
You still have some things that are sticking around, and I want it to be clean. So
You're talking like true.
yes, yeah, yep.
Cleaner beer this way that you're dry hop.
Definitely. I've definitely had cleaner dry hop beer than when I used to do it that way and get more vegetable flavor, just some not always pleasant flavors. Doing it this way, I've definitely got more fruit forward flavors. So timing and temperature. Day zero is brew day. 1 to 3 active fermentation. As mentioned, I put it in the whirlpool, but you can put it in biotransform maybe day 3. It shows day 2, day 3. Terminal gravity usually by day 7, and then, like I mentioned, waiting to dry hop. Pull yeast trub off if it's possible. Then dry hop after a few days. Cold crash it and package 3 weeks typically in 3 weeks into a keg. So they're short dry hop times rated higher with fruity characteristics from monoterpene alcohols and thiols. So studies that are mentioned in Janish's book, short dry hop times, 24 hours, 48 max, shows that fruity characteristics are higher. Longer, rank higher for herbal notes, polyphenols, start to get harsh bitterness. And mentioned allow maturation period after terminal gravity is complete at 39 degrees to allow the hops, to allow the thiols to release from the yeast cells. Kind of mentioned all these things, tips, tricks for best results. Minimize oxygen. That's my #1 goal always in making hoppy beers. Is I'm going to minimize oxygen as much as possible because I don't want that to be the downfall of what could have been a great beer. Rates. Make sure you watch your rates. Hops added. Don't over contact beyond 7 days. Too much. As it shows, aroma intensity is the same at 6 hours as it is after 4 days. Drink your beer fresh, match the temperatures to styles. West Coast pills, that's one thing that I think I need to pay more attention to with the temperature. Get it lowered and hold it lower for longer so the diacetyl doesn't come into play. Plus using ALDC helps. And keep detailed notes, it really helps. Once I started keeping a notebook, it's really helped. The next time I make it, I make adjustments and almost always it goes better. key takeaways. Dry hopping adds aroma and flavor, virtually no bitterness, like I mentioned. Perceived bitterness might be increased a little bit. Oxygen is your enemy. 2 to 4 days contact time, max. Drink it fresh, keep notes. Any further questions? Jake?
How do you do temperature control? Are you using glycol or?
Yes. I have a glycol system. I also have a kegerator that was given to me, which I use as well sometimes.
Keg storage?
Cake storage, but also, especially, so I do use carboys in some instances, like ciders. I'll put the cider into the kegerator and hold it with that, because I don't have temperature control into the carboys.
Have you ever used a hop back?
No, I have not used a hot back before. Any other questions?
For the glycol, do you have the cooling coil or is it jacked in?
Cooling coil.
Go back to the picture of your system. What,
Oh yeah, there it is.
what's the filter coming off the racking? The white thing?
This picture was taken a long time ago. I don't. This is when I was. This is when I was dry hopping into the.
Yeah. So it's some sort of.
It's the
Yeah,
filter.
it's a filter.
I think it's the bubble filter.
Yeah. There you go. Bubble filter. Right.
Not currently used.
Right. Because I started overproducing so that I didn't have to worry trying to get the little last bits of liquid out. So I have a couple of fermenters now.
And then on your tube going down the center.
Yeah.
This guy. But,
Oh, this too.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you have on that? Is that something that?
Floating dip tube. It's a floated, which is excellent. It's a great thing to get.
What's it called?
A floated.
It's got a little.
FLO.
Floated. Yeah, it's got a filter on there. It's actually got 2 filters on it. So it pulls it through here. Okay. So that just floats on the top and it hangs.
I got several of those, and then I moved.
Push from
So,
Is them or just left them behind?
they're somewhere in stuff.
Ball, like balls.
So they're in a box somewhere, and they have not been rediscovered
Sanitize,
yet.
you can boil those suckers.
I still own them. I know within
I'll just do
what
it
square
when I
footage
feel
they're
like it
in.
needs boiled.
I just don't know when I'm going to rediscover it.
Concerning your fear of oxygen, have you ever considered using metabisulfite in any way?
No. I'm afraid of getting the off. I don't remember what will happen.
It's like a struck match kind of character. It can like tingle the nose and stuff too. Yeah. It can be an off flavor, but it also, I mean, it's an antioxidant. It fights oxygen. So that's why winemakers and cider makers, meat makers use it. So it's a useful moto technique. I don't have much experience brewing with it.
I have a question for JC.
Yeah.
You were talking about purging the keg while you open it. Yeah. Purge the.
I had the gas line on the gas connector at like 10 psi. It's just blowing gas, and it takes a
Blow
while.
it, wait,
So
take
it pops
it.
in, and then put the wood back on, and then start purging it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's not going to be 0%, but
Yeah.
my setup, this is the best I can do. Yeah.
So you said that was your inline from the fermenter that has the floating dip tube?
Yes.
So it's filtering as it's going in?
Just filter everywhere.
Yeah, it is. I don't think it gets anything in because, like, I overproduce on how much liquid. So I'm taking from as high as I can. Like, it's stopping. Once I start to see any gunk,
Right.
haze, all right, I'm good. We'll stop. But the line's pretty clear going in.
You gotta have something to drink on racking day.
Pulpy, hop, lightly beer. I guess carbonated.
It's already, yeah, it's not fully carbonated.
Maybe won't, you said drink fresh. I know when I was like making some hazies, there's a lot of times where like you'll push them a little bit too much and become grassy. And then like typically like, I think there was some talk on podcasts about like a lot of the hazies best to start maybe like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks in. Do you typically wait a few weeks after you package before you start serving or?
So it's usually week 3 when I would put in the keg. And then at that point, yeah, I would still wait.
Week 3
I'll
from
try
brew
it
day?
from brew day. 2 to 3 for sure. But that first week, it's still gonna be like, not ready yet. You know?
Okay.
It'd be at least a week probably.
And by not ready, you mean like it might be a little grassy or
Yeah,
something like
it's
that?
a little harsh, polyphenol harsh, yeah.
Can you put that whole slideshow on the Google Drive? That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll get the calculator for the acid addition.
The problem with the calculator is it doesn't take into account the system you're going into, which is the buffer capacity of the beer you're making is going to affect that calculation.
It's where just practice, trying it out.
I'd be curious if there's a difference between light beers and dark beers or something.
Yeah, I'll be more aggressive with an IPA. I have a not dry hop to dark beer, so I don't know. But with IPA versus like a West Coast Pills, you're gonna get, and actually with West Coast Pills, I don't think I've had to add acid. It's already like 4.3, 4, you know, somewhere
Is that
around
a
there.
water yeast characteristic or?
What are you mashing at? To get when you finish?
To get the acid,
Like you say, where you normally finish like a West Coast Bills, like what are you mashing at pH wise to get to? You don't have to add acid
yeah,
out.
5.3. Try to hit 5.3. But then before the boil, I'll add acid to get it to like 5. Well, post boil, add it to get it to 5 going into the fermenter. Typically, sometimes that's a guesstimation as well. You know, I've done it.
It's always a guesstimation with acids.
Yeah.
It's really hard to know.
Trial and error, for sure.
Fantastic.
That's it?
Yeah.